Alright, Kings of War players, in this round 4 of my Call to Arms 4 League, it is an Order of the Green Lady mirror match.
Hello there! I like to watch battle reports to get better at games. So I started making short, summarized battle reports that focus on learning points. So welcome to my channel, Newbie Dice. Do like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon if you enjoy my videos.
Okay, welcome back. And this is round 4, and this game is actually live streamed on Dash 28. So if you prefer to watch the live stream version, do head on over to that video. I'll post the link up. And a pro tip is to watch it at 1.5 or 2 times so that you can watch the game faster. So this is my list. It's been unchanged. It's been unchanged since game number 2. So 2, 3, and now game 4 is still about exactly the same list. And for my opponent, he's pretty interesting by playing the Horde of Order of the Brotherhood, the Knights. And because you can take the, I think he took the banner, yep, the Pathfinder banner, and then you can take a Brew of Strength on top of that as well. And another thing to note is there's 3 Beasts of Nature, 3 Beasts, as well as 3 Unicorn, 2 flying and 1 on foot. I think all of them have Heal and Lightning Bolt, and yeah, and 2 of them fly. So let's look at deployment. So some of these pictures I failed to take them while playing the game, so these are actually screenshots from the live stream. So the red numbers indicate the height of the terrain, so the lake and the field below is flat. I think I chose the bottom and I chose to go first. So let's move on to our top of 1. So I just pushed everything up, and things to take note would be in my deployment. I did deploy the Order of Redemption in the middle instead of usually on one flank, right? I think I wanted to provide speed all across the board, a credible threat that is fast all across the board, so that I have my 3 cavalries on one on each flank, right? And yeah, that's why I put this in the middle, and because of that, my third inspiring source, the druid, has to go to the side. So although my search units, the scrambling units, are all spread out, but the druid is only on the right side. So for myself, I deployed the 2 beasts on one on each side. I like to do that because I'd like to force the opponent to deal with threats coming from both sides. And since he had 3 beasts of nature, so 1 on the right and 2 on the left. So as I did, so I moved up, I'm making use of this forest to block line of sight to the units behind, and I put 1 lightning bolt wound onto the beast of nature over here. So my opponent, in his response, so he hit 1 beast of nature behind the building, so I couldn't charge it because the flank is exposed and I couldn't charge the flank. So this is a pretty solid defense right over here. And so with these 2 beasts of nature, he kind of secures this flank, which was pretty annoying in my opinion. So I was figuring out how to deal with this. And yeah, he continued to shuffle up, and he had this critters in front to block the frontage of the knights, and I think my flyers are not in range yet, so he's not worried about a flyer jumping in front of the knights. So in my response, I decide to partially ignore the 2 beasts, right? So I start to swerve my Forsaken Horde behind the forest so that it can't be seen and charge that in the flank, so that I can focus more towards this Knight Horde in the middle. And yeah, so I have these 3 threats to sort of deal with the 2 flyers. So I moved up my beast sort of safely with the frontage of the Water Elemental Regiment, protecting the frontage, right? But I also moved it up so that my Water Elemental can possibly charge these units because it only threats 14 inches. So in doing that, I moved up too far. You'll see what happens in the next slide. And so for my opponent, initially he did the 3 unicorns did lightning bolt and dealt 4 in the previous round. So that was pretty painful, because once if he repeated it and deal another 4 damage, I'll be at 8, and that would be a 7 to waver. So although the Forsaken Horde has Headstrong, but firstly Headstrong doesn't trigger all the time, and even if you pass your Headstrong, they'll be still disordered, so they'll lose their Thunderous Charge. So that's pretty scary over there. And so let's see what is his response. So firstly, on the right side, he shifted his Beast of Nature to threaten mine while staying out of line of sight. Okay, and his 2 Beasts of Nature, the 2 beasts on the left side, actually found an angle to turn and fly 20 inches out of threat range of all my units, which is pretty painful at this point, because I didn't expect to have gaps where the opponent can come in. So I'm usually on the offense, so this really caught me unawares, and the only thing that I can charge is probably this unicorn, which is not gonna do much other than strip off the flying, right? So at the same time, the opponent shifted his woodland critters forward to screen the knights, but he did angle this critter. Okay, there's a reason why he angled this critter, is to force me to charge in a way that later when I reform, I'm gonna have some trouble, right? But because he angled it too much, there's this 50mm gap here that I can fit my Pegasus in. So with these 2 beasts in my grill and that gap presented to me, I decided that I need to go now, right? And thankfully, my second round, my Lightning Bolt 5 did nothing, but his Lightning Bolt 15 did no wounds, because to push his army back, his 3 unicorns are now behind the hill, so he's shooting at me with cover, and even so, dealing no wounds is pretty unlucky, right? So let's see what happened here. Let's talk about the left side first. So I have the 2 units that were facing off at the beasts that were in front, that now they flew to the back lines. Now I have to turn them around to face. Okay, and I decided to ignore this unit instead, this beast. Okay, so the unicorn did charge in to strip the flying off of the beast, so I don't want it to fly around. So I'll let 1 beast go free, but I don't want the second one to cause more trouble. And this Forsaken Horde, I took a very long time to find this position, because I was pretty unhappy with a lot of the positions, because it is going to get charged by this Beast of Nature, and I finally decided on this position. It's out of the front arc of the beast behind, and only 1 of these flying unicorns can charge it. So even so, these 2 charging it will deal quite a bit of damage, and there's a very good possibility of waver, right? And so let's look at here. So my Pegasus charged in, right? I decided to charge 2 units at one of the woodland critters, because I might as well use it to push my water elementals forward. Okay, and then the Redemption Knights killed off the other woodland critters. And because of the way he angled the critters, now you see, if he had left them in a straight line, then my 3 units would be aligned. So that would protect some of the units' flank, right? So now, because my Rod of Redemption killed the angled woodland critters, okay, there's this little flank sticking out from these green knights over here, and this little flank sticking out from the Order of Redemption over here. Of course, these 2 units, there's a 20mm gap here, because the water elementals are not as deep. Okay, but I did push. This scenario is push, so I did push my horde with the 2 tokens up. So that was pretty much planned from the start, because other than the 2 beasts, which this horde can sort of take the attack of the 2 beasts and survive. Other than the 2 beasts, there was not a lot of threat. Okay, he did place his tokens behind the horde of knights, which made it tough. The moment the knights got stuck, right, these guys can't even move past it, right? Because on the double, and then it's gonna face enemy, so it couldn't even land, right? And because they were angled, they were kissing back to back, the men at arms couldn't even turn. Okay, because the length is longer than the width. So when you turn, you overlap into the knights. So my opponent's response. So you see this. So there's a flank here and there's a flank here. So he charged one unicorn in and one beast of nature in, dealt 8 damage, and luckily did not waver it. But even if it's wavered, they're still headstrong. So that's what I like about knights. They have that headstrong. So 66% of the time they are still able to fight even when wavered. Okay, and this side is pretty unlucky over here. So he's earth elementals, one charged in the front, one because it was out of line of sight, so he turned and then he flanked, surged it in, but because of the fence it's hindered. Okay, and all in all he only dealt 8 damage, so 36 attacks plus, so there should be 18 plus 9, there should be 27 hits. Am I right? 9 plus 18, yeah, there should be 27 hits and 18, 27 hits and 13 wounds. With brutal, that should be close to double ones if the dice were average. Yeah, but it's pretty swingy when you have 4 to hit and 5 to hit. Sometimes it can get really swingy. So pretty unlucky for my opponent there. That means the 2 earth elementals will be stuck for one more turn. Okay, so another thing is that although this unit of knights got hit by 2 flanks, it is able to still charge in front because there is a clear path in front. And lastly, this redemption knights has no choice but to attack this unicorn over here. Okay, so he's 2 beasts. So one is free to fly around, so it flew all the way to the rear and turned itself backwards. The other beast just charged into the Forsaken, and then it dealt another 4 damage, but no waver at this point. So let's see my response. So these 2 units took out the beast expectedly, and then stayed out of this beast charge range, charge arc. Okay, my unicorn grounded his unicorn, and I moved the water elemental up to follow up next round. Okay, this man at arms turned around to face the beast of nature. Okay, and my earth elementals that picked up the other token found an angle. It angled itself to, it's presenting the flank to the beast, I think, and is not able to charge. Yeah, so I think that's the trick that I was going for. So by using the other unit to block off the flank or the rear or whatever, so that the opponent cannot charge this unit. Okay, and over here I have a Pegasus that decided to chip some damage into, I think it took some damage, so it took some lightning bolt damage earlier, so I decided to just send it in to do some damage before it dies. Anyway, flank, right? So anytime you get a flank, you're multiplying your output, so that's always a good deal. So my knights and the Pegasus charged in, dealt 8 damage, and then this is the part that I think I did wrongly. So firstly, this beast in the rear has lots of charge options, right? And then what I did was I charged this beast into his beast. This is the beast that failed to kill the green knights. Okay, so I charged this beast in, and with Bane Chant, there's a good chance to waver it, although it's not guaranteed. So I should have done this combat first to see if it gets wavered. Then I reformed the knights over here. So what I did was I actually did this combat first, and anyway it did not waver, so I reformed with the expectation that it won't waver. But I think this is not the best outcome I could have gotten. Right now I'm getting rear charged by this beast and front charged by these beasts. Okay, so if I were to do it again, maybe I would present a flank and a front, but I think I'm also partially blocked because of the way I wanted to position my earth elementals. So the water elementals just charged at the golems and did a little bit of damage. Okay, so let's see what the opponent did. So for this side, I think it just countercharged, and for the knights, it killed off the knights in front, and the Pegasus on the side got taken out by maybe lightning bolt, or if not, the charge from a unicorn and it backed off 3 inches. I think probably lightning bolt. Okay, the water elementals go down to the 2 earth elementals, and the 2 beasts of nature. The 2 beasts charge the Order of Redemption, and then this beast of nature has taken 8 damage already, and then this one turned around. This one charged the rear and turned around. The other one went d6 forward, and because it went forward so much, it's at an angle that I couldn't charge it properly. Right, so this became a challenge. Okay, another lucky thing for me was that the unicorn didn't do any damage over here, so my unicorn is free to lightning bolt. So after trying a lot, I figured out that I think the best thing I could do, I couldn't charge that second beast of nature because of how closely it is to the one in front. So I charged the front beast of nature with the earth elementals and the beast of nature that I have. This is the one in the forest, right after it cleared off the first beast. So it took out the second beast, and for the other beast, I just lightning bolt from the unicorn. It already taken 8, and I think I only dealt 1 or 2, but I rolled enough to take it out. So it was pretty lucky of me this down here, and then expectedly I sent the water elemental regiment to ground this unicorn again. So if you notice, my Order of the Forsaken is being very cagey because at already 8 wounds, a lightning bolt that dealt 1 or 2 damage would easily waver it, and then if I get wavered with nothing to charge, and then it will just follow up a second lightning bolt to kill it off. On hindsight, I'm not sure if I was being too cagey with this, because at the same time it's not really contributing to the combat. So the unicorn decided, next round the unicorn decided to turn around and just move away. Okay, and oh yeah, this was the beast that charged his beast in the flank and failed to kill it or waver it, and then the second round it charged into the knights and to jam it one more round again, and then this time his counter attack against dealt only 9 damage and didn't even waver, so that was pretty unlucky of him. So his luck was not very good this game, I have to admit. Firstly, he did not kill the water elementals. Now he failed to kill this beast of nature, right? There are a few more like failing to wound the unicorn, although there's only 3 attacks on his unicorn, right? And so now there's a earth elemental versus earth elemental bash over here. And secondly, he charged this unicorn to ground this beast, and once again it failed to wound this beast of nature, so double unlucky over here. So what I did in response is knights were already heavily wounded. I double charged 2 beasts of natures in, 2 beasts, and killed it off. Right, so the first one went d6 forward and it went too far forward. Now it's giving a flank to the man-at-arms. So it went forward to jam it up so that this one can turn around to face in different directions. But no matter where I face, I'm gonna get charged. Firstly, there's the unicorn over here, and then there's these earth elementals that can flank surge in. So maybe I could have positioned this better. I'm not sure. So this one, so let's see over here, my earth elementals chose not to fight, or maybe I hit back. I think I probably hit back, and then I put this druid behind. So if you notice, in push you have to bring the unit all the way across. So if he managed to kill my earth elementals, pick up the token, right, and pick up the token and overrun forward. So he'll overrun forward, but he'll stop at my druid, And by stopping at my druid is exactly the same spot as where my earth elementals are right now, and that would not cross the board. So I will have 4 VP across the board, and he has 2 here and 1 here, right? If he has brought it across the board, it'll be 4 points. So right now I'm leading, and this is the top of 6. So if he ends there, it's on the safe side for me. So on the bottom of 6th, his Earth Elemental searched and killed the Beast of Nature over here. There's a flank from the Unicorn and the Man-at-Arms, and it dealt 4 damage. His Unicorn individual charged at the Forsaken Knights and wavered it. Okay, and so we're here at this point, and he dealt more damage to these Earth Elementals. So I was afraid that and we rolled a turn 7. So if one more round will probably kill off the Earth Elemental. So, and then I was a little bit afraid. So at this point, yeah, if he overrun and stop at the Druid, I would still win. But now that his Unicorn is in the rear, I was a little bit afraid, because he could possibly charge the Unicorn into the Druid, kill it off, sidestep out of the way, or move forward out of the way, and then this overrun might pass the center line. So that was my fear. So I was figuring out how I would like to do this, and what I did in the end. My Forsaken Knights passed its headstrong roll, right? My Druid enchanted the Forsaken Knights to kill off. Okay, so what happened with my Earth Elementals was it bounced off. It placed the token here. Okay, and then before sidestepping. So then I move my Man-at-Arms, turn, and move slide forward a bit to pick up the token. So now if my Man-at-Arms get charged by 1 unit, it will be safe. It probably will not die. Okay, but in doing this maneuver, I didn't expect to mount the hill over here at this corner. By mounting this hill means this Earth Elementals can charge the one on top, right? So a double charge would have a very good chance of killing it. So I charged this Unicorn in, and it dealt 1 damage, which was pretty lucky. If I didn't do that 1 damage, the game would have been lost. So I did too risky a maneuver, because when I committed to this plan, I did not realize that I did not expect that I have to rotate the unit so much that the corner came up onto the hill. So yeah, and by doing this maneuver, because this point is less than 24 inches, so I did not get this unit across the board. So it's only 3 points, 3 victory points. Yeah, so if I were to do it again, I probably won't do it, because it all hinges on my Unicorn able to deal 1 damage. So the Unicorn having the Blade of Slashing is like very important to me, because it makes it a lot more reliable in dealing that 1 damage. So with this done, and then the Unicorn over here died, right? So with this done, you only have 1 unit left to charge my unit, and it dealt above average in damage. It dealt 14 damage, 13 damage, and in fact still almost routed it, but it held. So that was pretty scary moment for me. So let's look at learning points. So I'm not sure about the opponent placing that token carrier behind the horde of knights, because when the knights get jammed, he couldn't move through as well. Then my opponent did a cool thing of angling his chaff to give me an unfavorable reform. As you can see, it exposed some flanks with small little gaps, but at the same time it tilted a little bit too much, that left a 50mm space for my Pegasus to go in. So this is a trick that a lot of good players are doing very effectively, having 2 beasts on 1 flank and maybe some chaff in front, but he didn't. But just having that 2 beasts threatening and making opponents back off, and then still being able to fly 20 inch into a gap in the opponent's line. So this is something that we're gonna try to deal with. How to deal with it? Perhaps a unicorn individual further back, so that when they did fly through, you charge them in the front. Because even if you charge them in the flank, that means their front, they're still free to go wherever they want. At most they are grounded, but they are still 20-inch charging in front. So next, yeah, you can use your other units to block off flank charges. So I used my men-at-arms to protect the flank of my earth elementals. That also meant that my redemption was bound to die, but I guess protecting the token carrier is a little bit more important. So order of combat choices. So I should have did that combat with the beast of nature to see whether I waver it. If I wavered it, I could have turned around and faced that rear beast head on, that redemption knights. So yeah, so if you don't want the opponent to overrun too far, you, especially when it's a scenario, right, you can put that individual behind. So even when they overrun, they will not be able to go past the individual. So having shooting, my opponent having that lightning bolt 15 and some of them on a height 4 platform, having that shooting is able to deal that 4 damage around to people's hammers is quite useful and valuable, because a lot of large infantry, they are 15, 17, defense 5, right? So if you are able to deal 4 damage to that, right, if you can deal 4 damage again, that puts them in waver range, and that's 7 to waver, right? Even if you're a little bit lucky in dealing 4 damage in the first round, but that will sort of psych the opponent out. They was like, okay, what if he deal another 4 damage to me and then waver me? So although the possibility might not be very high, right? I don't know about the odds, but maybe you were a little bit lucky in the first round. But to do that 4 damage, it really scares the opponent. Yeah, and it alters the way that they play, because I was being too cagey with my Forsaken Knights. It didn't do much combat other than that one counter charge into the Beast of Nature. So here's a trick. After that last round, I was figuring out what's the best thing I could do. So I could just drop the token and sidestep, and then that's it. I don't need my men-at-arms to pick it up. So let me just draw it out. So if the unit, especially if we are same frontage, about the same frontage, right? So I can drop the token, and then I move sideways like this. Okay, so I'll redraw that. So I'll drop the token facing it, and I'll move sideways like this. Okay, so when he counter charge, he has to align to me. And then so once he aligns to me, even if he overruns, he will not contact the token and pick it up. So this is what you can do if your unit is lost. It will be dead. You can drop the token and move sideways. Okay, but for this to work, make sure your unit sizes are about the same. So if it's an infantry horde, of course he will still be able to pick it up, right? So I think that's it. So I hope you enjoyed the tactical review of this battle, and if you like, please like this video and subscribe to the channel and press the notification bell icon to be notified whenever I release my next video. So the next one will be the round 5 of my Call to Arms match, and I'll see you in the next one.